Next one is essential mineral elements. If we analyze the type of elements inside the plants, nearly around 60 types of elements are present. All the plants, if you take all the plants, if you analyze the elements which are present in almost all the plants, near about 60 types of elements are present. But it is not compulsory that all the plants should contain the same type of mineral elements. But majority of the elements are commonly present in almost all the plants which are required for growth and development of the plants. That means some plants, they may have common elements, but some plants will have some particular type of element which may not be present in the other elements. So if you add all those types of elements, it comes to nearly about 60 types of elements, and the plants will absorb nearly 30 type of elements or 30 to 40 types of elements from the soil. So how does these elements are formed in the soil means, here these elements are formed by a process called as weathering. The weathering process will help in the formation of the mineral elements in the soil, and these minerals are being absorbed by the roots or root heads, and which are required for various metabolic functions. So is it like all these elements which have been absorbed by the plants are required for growth and development means? No, it is not compulsory that all the 30 types of elements which are absorbed by the plants should be required for growth and development, but some are not useful also. So likewise, if you take some elements, here there is one criteria have been given, that is called as criteria of essentiality. So this criteria of essentiality was given by Arnon and Perry Stout. So here they had proposed some criteria, that is the element or the essential element is required for vegetative growth or for reproductive growth of the plant or for both types of growth. And without this particular type of element or without the essential element, the plants, so without the element, that particular type of element, the plant cannot do not complete its life cycle. And at the same time, it will not form the seed formation, that is seed set is also not formed. Then second one, when we say an element is an essential, when it is participating directly in the metabolic function, that is an essential element participate directly in the metabolic activities or metabolic functions of the plant body. So here directly involved, so they should be directly involved in the metabolic functions of the plant body. The third criteria is the requirement of the element is specific or not replaceable by any other type of element. So here for example, let us take the magnesium is a magnesium ion is the central atom of the porphyrin ring of chlorophyll molecule. So if this magnesium ion is deficient or lacking, then the function of this central atom cannot be replaced by any other type of element, and likewise this type of significances are there with this one. Then if the elements are following all these three criterias, then we can consider that particular element as an essential element. And those elements out of these 30 which have been absorbed by the plant, some are not showing these properties, at least one of the functions is not exhibited by them, then we call them as a non-essential elements. But there are some elements which are not considered as essential elements, but they have some significant role in the plant body. So why, despite of having the significant role, why we are not considering them as essential element means those elements are not satisfying these three criterias. So despite they are not satisfying the three criterias, but they are having some significant role in the plant body. So we call such type of elements as a beneficial elements. Okay, let us take some of the examples of beneficial elements. That is sodium, represented as a Na symbol. So this is required for the permeability of the cell membrane. Then in the same way, silicon, so represented in Si symbol form. So this is required by cereals and grasses. Likewise, there are some other elements like cobalt, represented as CO, and vanadium, selenium. So likewise, different types of elements are there which are required for the plant, but not showing or not satisfying the criteria of essentiality. We call this type of elements as a beneficial elements. So as the plants are absorbing the elements from the soil, which type of elements does the plant will absorb? So the plants may absorb gold, selenium like elements. Sometimes they may be useful or may not be useful for the plant, and some may be essential, some may be non-essential, but some may be beneficial to the plant. Apart from that one, if the plants are growing near nuclear power plants, so they absorb radioactive elements also, like strontium. So likewise, some type of different types of elements also been absorbed by the plant. That is the way how the absorption of minerals is related to the plants. Essential elements are categorized into two types based on the quantity of their requirement by the plants. Like those are called as macro elements and micro elements. So first let us come to the macro elements. So the elements which are required in the larger quantity, maybe that macro elements are required in larger quantity and micro elements are required in the lesser quantity, but they are equally important for the metabolic functions. So based on only the quantity they are differentiated. So here the requirement which is in larger quantity, like carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur. So these are the 9 elements which are required in the larger quantity. So here carbon, C, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, calcium, magnesium and sulfur. And the elements which are required in lesser quantity, these are otherwise called as micronutrients also, or trace elements. Here, these are the elements which are required in less than 10 millimole per kg of dry weight of the plant. And these are boron, zinc, iron, chlorine, copper, manganese and molybdenum. So here actually these are of 7, 9 are macro elements and 7 are micro elements, but here one more have been added, that is nickel. So total it have become 8. So total number of essential elements are 17, and here I said that which are required in the larger quantity. So these are required in more than 10 millimole per kg of dry weight of the plant. So likewise, based on the requirement, they have been divided into macro and the micro elements. So now let us see the significance or importance or the role of these elements in the plants and in which form they are absorbed by the plants from the soil. In these essential elements, out of the 17, the carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, these three are taken by plants, not in mineral form. That is actually the plants will take up carbon in the form of carbon dioxide from atmosphere, and hydrogen in the form of water from soil, and oxygen either it may be in the form of water or carbon dioxide either from the soil or from atmosphere. So that means these are taken in the compound form from the atmosphere or from the soil by the plants. And one more thing is, these three are the major constituent parts of the compounds or organic compounds which are present inside the plant body. So the major framework of the plant body is formed by these three elements. The majority of the biomolecules or almost all the biomolecules which are helping in the basic structure of the plant body are made up of these elements. So that's why these are called as a framework elements. These three are combinedly called as framework elements. So likewise, apart from these three, the remaining elements are called as mineral elements. Why the remaining are called as mineral elements means, because the remaining elements are absorbed by the plants by roots in the form of ions or minerals, absorbed by the plants in the form of ions or minerals from the soil. So that's why we call the remaining elements as the mineral elements. So likewise, there is a differentiation between the some of the essential elements which are taken from the atmosphere and the other which are being taken in the form of ions from the soil. Here mineral elements or the essential elements are there. Apart from that one, the non-mineral elements are also being present. So here, based on their diverse functions, based on the diverse functions. The essential elements are divided into 4 categories. So out of those 4, the first one is the essential elements as components of biomolecules, and hence these are called as structural elements of the cells. So as which are the major constituent part of the biomolecules, so which includes carbon, hydrogen, oxygen and nitrogen. So this is the first one, which are the part of major constituent biomolecules inside the plant cell. The second one are the essential elements that are the components of energy related chemical compounds. So the one which are the major constituent part of the energy related chemical compounds, like magnesium ion. So this magnesium ion is a central atom present in the porphyrin ring of chlorophyll molecule. And apart from that one, this is one example. The other element is phosphorus. Phosphorus, which is the major constituent part of the energy form, that is adenosine triphosphate, that is ATP molecule. The third one are the essential elements required for either active or inactive form of the enzyme molecules. Like, let us take one element here, that is magnesium ion. So magnesium ion have a vital role in the activation of the enzymes which are required for photosynthesis and respiration. Let us take that ribosco enzyme, that is ribulose 1,5 bisphosphate carboxylase oxygenase enzyme. This is an enzyme which is required in the C3 cycle and in the C4 cycle also. And apart from that one, magnesium is also been required for phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase enzyme. Then zinc is a one which is required for activation of alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme. Then molybdenum. So molybdenum have a crucial role in the activation of enzymes which are required for nitrogen metabolism. Like, there is one enzyme called as nitrogenase enzyme, or otherwise we can call it as dinitrogenase enzyme. So this is an enzyme which is present in some of the prokaryotes like rhizobium and blue green algae like Anabina and nostoc, which are concerned with the biological nitrogen fixation. So here this nitrogenase contains MOFE protein part. So likewise, these are some of the essential elements which are required for either activity or inactivity of the enzymes. Fourth one, the elements required for maintaining osmotic potential of the cell. Like let us take the example of potassium. So this is a one which is helping in the opening and closing of stomata. So the stomata will close and open based on the flaccidity and turgidity of the guard cells. So likewise here the turgidity and flaccidity are operated based on the concentration of the potassium ions. Likewise, here the elements are divided into 4 criteria based on their significant role being played in the metabolism of the plants. The significance of various types of elements, starting with nitrogen. Nitrogen is absorbed by the plant both in the cationic form and in the anionic form. That is, the plants will absorb these two. Actually here the plants cannot utilize the molecular nitrogen which is present in the atmosphere and also in the soil, but the bacteria or blue-green algae, bacteria like rhizobium and blue-green algae like nostoc and anabina, they perform nitrogen fixation and they convert the molecular nitrogen into the available form of nitrogens, that is either nitrate or nitrite, and sometimes ammonium also. So these two are the anionic forms and this is a cationic form that is available to the plants to be absorbed by the roots from the soil. But out of them, in which form the plants will absorb large amount of nitrogen means only in the nitrate form they will absorb large amount of nitrogen from the soil. So likewise here the physiological role of the nitrogen in the life of the plants. After carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, the nitrogen is the important element, the next important element after carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, which is having some more and more significant role in the various metabolic activities of the plant cell. So let us take some of them. Here it is a major constituent part of many biomolecules. Like they are the constituent part of nucleic acids, DNA and RNA. Actually these nucleic acids are made up of many nucleotides and each nucleotide contains a phosphate molecule along with a sugar and nitrogen base. So those nitrogen bases are adenine, guanine, cytosine, thymine and uracil. So those are made up of nitrogen. So those are the nitrogen bases. So apart from that one, so the nitrogen is also been the one of the major constituent part of proteins, and the proteins are the building blocks of amino acids, and these amino acids are made up of amides or nitrogen molecule. Then apart from that one, it is a constituent part of nucleotides, nitrogen bases. So nitrogen bases which are in the form of purines and pyrimidines, and they are also the part of many type of coenzymes. So likewise it is one of the major constituent part of majority of the biomolecules which are required by the plant for various metabolic activities including growth and development. And These are also being the constant part of some of the hormones. Then these are required for various metabolic functions like photosynthesis, respiration, growth, differentiation, hereditary process, protein synthesis, etc. Despite of nitrogen, a major element present in atmosphere, that is accounting for 78%, but that is not been utilized by the plants directly. So they have been converted into available form of nitrogen, either in the form of nitrate, nitrite or ammonium, which have been utilized by the plants. Nitrogen is present in almost all the parts of the plant body. Particularly they are present in the meristematic cells and metabolically active cells. Phosphorus is absorbed by the plants or available to the plants in the form of H2PO4 minus and HPO4 minus 2, that is the primary phosphate ion and the secondary phosphate ion. And this phosphorus is required by the plant for various metabolic activities, like let us see the physiological role. Phosphorus is a one which is present in active parts of the plant. And these are being present in the storage organs like fruits, seeds, and also in the some of the meristems. Then phosphorus is used in the, or it is a major constant part of the energy currency of the cell. That is ATP, where 3 phosphate molecules are present. Apart from that one, it is also been the major constant part of nicotine adenine dinucleotide phosphate. Nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate. This is a type of coenzyme molecule, and this also been present in the nucleic acids, because the nucleic acids are DNA and RNA molecules. So here the nucleic acids are the polymers of nucleotides, which contains phosphate group plus pentose sugar plus nitrogen base. So here the phosphate group, which is a major constant part of nucleotides, is having this phosphate molecule. Then these are the part of nucleoproteins and cell membrane also. If you take the cell membrane or the plasma membrane, which is made up of lipoproteins. So here the lipids contains a phosphorus, that is phospholipids are present. So likewise it is playing some important role in the various physiological functions of the plant body. Next element is potassium. Potassium is absorbed by the plants in the form of cation, that is K+. It is absorbed as exchangeable cation by the plant body. It is taken from the mycelia or clay mycelia part, which is in the form of exchangeable cation from the soil. Then here the potassium have many such significant roles. Those are physiological roles exhibited by this potassium. Potassium, when it is absorbed, is mostly being seen in the active parts of the plant, that is metabolically active parts of the plants, and here like meristematic region, that is at the root and stem tips, and also been seen in the vegetative buds and floral buds of the plant body, been seen in the young leaves. Likewise, it is present almost all in the young parts of the plant body where the growing regions are present. That's the reason why these are most useful in the proper growth and development of the plant parts. Then it is required for protein synthesis. And also for maintaining cellular organization. Then for maintaining cellular permeability also, and for hydration. And it enters the structural composition of many such structural components of the plant cell. Here these are the three major one, that is nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. These are the mineral elements which are required in the larger quantities when compared to the other mineral elements by the plant. Why? Because these are the major constituent parts of the cell composition and also the major constituent part of majority of the biomolecules which are required for the growth and development of the plants. Next element is calcium. Calcium is absorbed by the plants as exchangeable cation. So in the form of Ca+2. The physiological role of this calcium is, so first let us see in which part of the plant body these cations in the form of calcium are present. These are mostly being seen in the differentiating cells and also in meristematic cells of the plant body. Then this calcium is useful for many physiological functions like photolysis of water. This is a step which occurs during the light reaction of photosynthesis, where the oxygen evolving complex is useful for splitting of water in presence of light. This oxygen evolving complex contains calcium. So that's why it is one of the important element required for photolysis of water. Then it is one which is required for the formation of cell wall. During the cell division, the middle lamellum, primary cell wall and second cell wall are formed. But out of all, the first formed is the middle lamellum. So middle lamellum is made up of calcium and magnesium pectates. So here the major one of the part which is present in the middle lamellum is the calcium. So that's why the calcium is useful for formation of the cell wall which will divide the cell into two daughter cells during cell division process. Then it is an activator of ATPase enzyme and amylase enzymes, and also it helps in the translocation of carbohydrates, amino acids in the plant body. It will help in reducing toxicity of oxalic acid and carbonic acid in the plants. The calcium will form some crystal-like structures. Those are called as calcium carbonate crystals. We call them as cystolith. And calcium oxalate crystals called as raphides. So likewise, this is a significant role. Apart from this one, calcium is important in maintaining various physiological functions in the plant body. Next element is magnesium. Magnesium is absorbed by the plants in the form of cation, that is Mg+2. So if you see the physiological role of magnesium, magnesium is a central atom of porphyrin head of chlorophyll molecule. It is binded to the 4 porphyrin rings with the help of covalent bonds and coordinate bonds. Then it is an activator of many such enzymes like hexokinase. So here the kinases are the one which help in the transfer of phosphate molecules. For all such type of reactions where the phosphate transfer is taking place, for all that reactions the kinases are required, and these kinases are activated because of magnesium ion. Apart from that one, these are also the activator for Rubisco enzyme, which is the most important enzyme which is required for, which is useful in the C3 process of photosynthesis, that is ribulose 1,5 bisphosphate carboxylase oxygenase enzyme. Apart from this enzyme, magnesium is also acting as an activator for EAPCET enzyme, that is a phosphoenol pyruvate carboxylase enzyme. Magnesium is also being required for synthesis of DNA and RNA molecules. Apart from this one, during protein synthesis, here the larger and smaller subunit of the two ribosomes are binded with each other. The binding of the two subunits is done because of the magnesium ion. It is useful for binding of two subunits of ribosomes during protein synthesis. Next element is sulfur. Sulfur is absorbed by the plants in anionic form, that is SO4 minus 2. Here the sulfur is having many such physiological roles. Like it is used in the formation of root nodules during nitrogen fixation in leguminous plants. and it is useful for the part of ferredoxin, which is one of the electron carrier during the process of metabolic functions of the plants. Then it will stabilize the protein structure by disulfide bridges. So it is useful for formation of the disulfide bridges, where these disulfide bridges will stabilize the structure of the protein. Then it is a constituent part of many such coenzymes like coenzyme A, and vitamins like biotin. Then it is a part of it is a constituent part of many such amino acids like cysteine, and methionine. Iron. Iron is available to the plants in Fe+3 form. That is, plants will absorb iron in the form of Fe+3, and Fe+3 and Fe+2 are interconvertible forms. So if you see the physiological role of this iron, it is very much important in the process of electron carriers. That is, we know that ferredoxin is one of the major electron carrier during the process of photosynthesis and respiration. So this ferredoxin contains iron, and apart from that one, it is also a constant part of cytochromes. So ferredoxin is the one which is required as electron carrier in the photosynthetic process. Cytochromes are required as electron carriers in the respiratory process. Both these electron carriers are having iron molecule, and iron is also useful for synthesis of chlorophyll molecule. So as we know, chlorophyll is the most significant pigment or green pigment required for the photosynthetic process. Then this is a micro element which is required in larger quantities when compared to the other type of micro elements by the plants. The next one is boron. Boron is absorbed in anionic form. That is BO3 -2, and tetraborate form, that is B4O7 -2. If you see the physiological role, boron is useful for carbohydrate metabolism in the plants, and also in the translocation process. The translocation of organic compounds, that is the sugars, and boron is also being useful for the pollen tube formation. That is, the boron is the one which will help in the germination of the pollen grain to produce a pollen tube. Then apart from that, it also helps in the cell elongation and cell differentiation. Boron is also useful for uptake and utilization of calcium ion by the plants. So likewise, these are some of the important physiological roles exhibited by boron element. The next element is manganese. Manganese is absorbed by the plant in the form of Mn+2 manganese ion. Manganese is the one which is required for photolysis of water. That is, along with other elements So manganese is a part of oxygen evolving complex which will help in splitting of or breaking of water in presence of light. So to release the electrons for providing to the photo system. Then so this manganese is activator for many enzymes which are required in the photosynthesis and respiration, and that is one of the activator for IAA oxidase. Then it is also required for the synthesis of auxins. Then next one is zinc. Zinc is required utilized by the plants or absorbed by the plants in the form of zinc ion Zn+2. Zinc is a one which is having many such physiological roles, like it is used in the synthesis of tryptophan. So this is a precursor for the synthesis of IAA, indole 3 acetic acid, which is a type of natural auxin which is produced inside the plants. Indole 3 acetic acid, and it is an activator of carbonic anhydrase enzyme, and also alcohol dehydrogenase enzyme. Along with carboxylases. So these are some significant roles related to the zinc ion. So next one is molybdenum. So molybdenum is absorbed by the plants in the form of molybdate ion, that is MoO2+2. So here this molybdenum have many such physiological roles, like it is mainly concerned with the nitrogen metabolism, the enzymes which are required for the nitrogen metabolism, like nitrogenase enzyme or dinitrogenase enzyme. So actually this nitrogenase enzyme contains two protein parts. One is called as iron protein part along with the molybdenum iron protein part. So it is in the form of dimer, it is in the form of tetramer. So here it is one of the major constant part of the nitrogenase enzyme. This nitrogenase enzyme is present in the symbiotic rhizobium and some of the blue-green algae like nostoc and anabina, which will help in conversion of molecular nitrogen into nitrates. So that is required for the nitrogen fixation, and it is also been present in the nitrate reductase enzyme, which is also useful in the nitrogen fixation. Next one is chlorine. Chlorine is absorbed by the plants in the form of anion, that is chloride ion. So chlorine have physiological roles, like it is useful in the photolysis of water. Along with manganese ion, it is also the constant part of oxygen evolving complex, which help in the splitting of water in presence of light. That is water molecule will split in presence of light to form half oxygen, 2 electrons and 2 protons, and the so released electrons are provided to the photosystem, where this electrons will be transmitted to various types of electron carriers. In this process the ATP will be produced, and apart from this one, it is also useful for anion cation balance, that is for maintaining the balance of anions and cations, and it is also been useful in the opening and closing of stomata. So when opening and closing of stomata is taking place, so we know that this is the stomata will that is the turgidity and flaccidity of the guard cells will be maintained. So during this process it will helping in the transpiration process. That is when the guard cells will acquire the turgidity, the stomata will open, and when the guard cells will acquire flaccidity, the stomata will close. So in that process there that is turgidity and flaccidity of the guard cells is maintained because of anion cation balanced by the chloride ion. So likewise they are helping in opening and closing of stomata, so resulting in the intake of the various gases and also the transpiration process. Next element is nickel. So nickel is absorbed by the plants in the form of nickel ion Na+2. So here the physiological roles are also there. So this is useful for the urease enzyme. So urease is the one which will act on the urea molecule, which is useful in the releasing of nitrogen, that is nitrogen metabolism. And it is useful for absorption of ion. It's like iron, and also it is useful for seed germination. So if the deficiency is there, leads to produce non-viability. They will induce disease resistance in the plants. So these are some of the important physiological roles exhibited by nickel, which is considered to be the microelement, the 8th microelement which have been included in the essential elements.